Hi, my name is Rob Ayling, and you're watching Actor's Voice on Occhi magazine. I'm now going to take a few questions to answer. So what inspired me to direct? As far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a film director. I've loved movies ever since I was really young. I mean, the first film I ever saw in the cinema was Toy Story. And I loved the spectacle, first of all, of cinema, but I also loved the story, and I loved the characters, and I loved... I didn't realise what it was at the time, but I loved the pure heart and emotion that the film brought. And having that feeling as an audience member was something I felt like I really wanted to give back to the audience. So when I walked out of the screening, I said to myself, I want to be Buzz Lightyear. Having obviously realised now what I really meant was I really want to be a film director. Okay, so the second question is, what do you look for when you're looking for a new project? And the first thing that I look for when I'm looking for a new project is a script. So does it have a good story, something that I can engage with, whether it's the subject matter or the themes in which it's dealing with, something with pure human, honest truthfulness to it, you know, human emotion. But also, most recently, I've noticed a lot of people staying in their own comfort zones when it comes to filmmaking, which is fine. But for me, filmmaking is all about challenging yourself by making different films, whether that's the genre or different stories. And for me, fundamentally, if a script can do all those different things for me, then that is how I choose the next project. What is the best thing about being a film director? The best thing about being a film director for me is being on the set. That's where most of the time you are spent directing. And it's the first time you actually see everything that you've prepared in advance unfold. And it's almost like theatre. You're watching it live and you never know what's going to happen. There's always going to be surprises. I mean, obviously there's the little hiccups here and there that can happen. Or there's those really wonderful moments where an actor does something which you don't expect, and it kind of lifts the material like you never thought it was going to do before. So that, for me, it's almost like a privilege to be a director, to watch that moment. And in a way, it's not really my credit, it's their credit, but it's also, but for me, it's a privilege to see that and see that unfold. Okay, so next, what do you think the biggest surprise about the process would be to an outsider? I think the biggest surprise to an outsider would be how many people work on a film set. So to give an example, I worked as an extra for a couple of days on the Channel 4 programme Skins, and I was amazed by how many different roles there were on the set and how many people were actually on the set as well. You know, there was like a gaffer, the gaffer's assistant, the first AD, the first AD's assistant, and it just kept going on and on and on. And I think for anybody who doesn't work in the film industry, I think it's very intimidating going on to a film set for the first time and seeing so many people, even if it's for just one scene involving one person doing one small thing. There's over 20 people working on that scene. What is the toughest thing about getting a project done? For me personally, it sounds quite strange, but almost being too dedicated to the work that you do. And also being too immersed within the material you're working with. So to give an example, my latest short film I did, Listen to Me, is about domestic violence. So it's a difficult subject matter, but it's also, I also have a personal connection with that subject matter as well. So having all these different emotions and feelings while making the project, and almost feeling like I have a certain responsibility to do justice with the subject matter and actually tell a great story with it, only pushed me further to make a better film. What do you feel is missing in entertainment today? Pure and simply, equality for opportunities. There isn't a level playing field at the moment. I hate the fact that there is judgment on how you look rather than how you do the job. How have things changed in the industry since you started? The biggest thing by far is technology. We are now able to shoot movies with our mobile phones. It may not be the best quality, but as long as the story is great, then you can shoot on whatever you want, in my opinion, as long as it serves its purpose, of course. We're now able to afford cameras under £3,000, which can even shoot on 4K. And sadly, we are seeing a decline of filmmakers using film to tell their stories. The next question is how important is social media in terms of promoting your next project? To me, it's vital. Without it, you are essentially alienating yourself from opportunities and promotion, and you're only relying on word of mouth to get your project up and running. And I'm afraid in this day and age, it's not good enough. You need social media to promote the project you're working on. What do I love about directing? I love working with passionate, driven individuals who are craftsmen, and they bring their knowledge to the set in order to tell stories. And that's what we're there for at the end of the day, is to tell stories. And it's a privilege to do that. And some of those craftsmen and actors that I get to call friends, and I get to work with them again and again and again. And that, for me, is what I love about directing. What areas would you like to explore in the future? Anything really that I can have a human connection with. You know, anything that I can see a certain truth, that I can bring a certain style of visual flair to it, as long as it's appropriate. So I don't mind working in any different genre, so that whether that's a drama, a thriller, a sci-fi, or a superhero movie, you never know. But for me, it's all about whether or not the story that I'm is worth telling. That's, for me, is key. Okay, so my final question, what advice can I give somebody who is looking to get into the film industry? Make films. It's a simple answer, really, I know, but you know, that really is the best way I can give the advice, is just make films. In this day and age, it's not difficult to make films. All you need is either a mobile phone or a DSLR camera, and you can start making films from there. Start learning how to tell great stories, whether that's learning how to write scripts or edit scripts. You know, any way, shape or form that you can learn how to make a film, I would take it. I mean, for me, I started as a storyboard artist. So I worked my way up from being a storyboard artist to eventually working on small camera crew roles to then becoming a director. You know, I worked my way up for a progression of that. So if you've got a skill that you have, I would utilize that skill now and then find your step in the door, as it were, to then becoming a director. Thank you for your interest in my interview with Occhi magazine.